Welcome to episode 2 of Flirting and Farting, unscripted love and unfiltered laughter, or unfiltered love and unscripted laughter. With the Shallahs, I am LaBianca.
And I am Shakim.
And episode 2, we will be talking about navigating courtship,
setting boundaries,
and hiccups that come along with dating, and
really talking about the dating phase and how to navigate that, as well as setting boundaries.
Or what that looked like for us, and hopefully that can help you navigate.
Right.
For those who desire marriage or already in the dating scene, or if you're married, maybe this will help you guys reflect on what you learned as well.
Or those lessons that you haven't overcame yet, you can still overcome them even at a later time.
That's true. So dating with you was very different. I remember our first date when you drove down, and it was just something different about the energy in the air. I know I was nervous, but there was an innocence. I think she needs some water in the air. And I remember just staring out the window the whole time, driving to the movies to see The Peoples, and ended up going to then my favorite restaurant, Cheddar's. So from there developed a beautiful courtship, which is something I think more of our generation need to hear and be more familiar with. Courtship for those who desire marriage, just because a lot of our dating world, from listening to friends and family, has become so gray. But with courtship, it's cut and dry. You understand the purpose. And when me and Shakim got together, I think we both had a unspoken understanding that we were looking for something of significance. Because, in college, you go through the talking stages, and that's all cool and fun, but it gets old. Especially for someone who's a romantic and loves love like me. I genuinely wanted something of substance, my person who was invested in me, who I could learn and grow with, and vice versa.
And that's why she swerved me when I first asked her out. Like, she just straight swerved me like, nah, dog. And then it took another dude to convince her to date me. So
I wouldn't say that. It was more so the universe, the divine spirit intervening on your behalf through this gentleman.
Right. We go with that. But so the dating phase, I know for me, like I said, like she said, I was very persistent. I continued asking her out, having those great conversations. And I think it was a pivotal conversation we had early on. I think it was one of the first 2 phone calls we had. And we was talking about legacy. We was talking about building a kingdom. And she straight up told me, look, if you ain't trying to build a kingdom, then you can just pass on by. In my mind, I'm like, well, that's exactly what I was going to ask you. So we was on the same page when we came to that. And I think a lot of couples or single people going into relationships, I think they make a mistake not making those intentions up front. I met married couples that, get pregnant, but then the lady finds out or the man finds out, and neither one of them don't want to have the child. Why wasn't that conversation had early on that you didn't want children? And it's no shade or anything to the people that are in those situations. We just lead an intentional. In order to have a relationship, you got to be intentional.
And that make intentional as we can, because even Absolutely. At a young age,
you got to free flow, because there's going to free flow when it's on relationships.
But I think there also was a level of naiveness for me. Okay. Though I said, if you're not looking to build anything, we shouldn't even go into it. I don't know, looking back, if I truly understood what I was looking to build.
I understood what because like I told you in the last episode, I didn't have a father figure. I've had, Black men in my life. I have successful and poor. And I knew right away what I wanted. I knew I wanted wealth. And in that sense, I wanted wealth, time and money. marrying each other. I wanted that so that I can be able to be at home, be with my children, be with my wife, and live our lives the way we wanted to live our lives. So I knew that coming in that's what I wanted to build. How? That's where a partner for me had to come into play. Like I couldn't do it all on my own because there are some aspects that I know about myself that that I'm not very versed in, and vice versa. There was a woman out there that felt the same way, which was it turned out to be her, and so I think going into a relationship, of course, there are going to be ebbs and flows, but you have to be intentional about what you are after in the relationship. You can't just date somebody because they look good.
And I want to go back to the courtship. So, courtship, Shakim pursued me for 3 months. So, what that looked like was every weekend he would drive from Laurinburg, North Carolina to Gastonia, North Carolina, 2.5-hour drive there and back just to take me on a date.
Every weekend. As
we got into month 2, month 3, he would start napping in the car to drive home instead of driving straight back because it started to, get taxed and doing all that driving. It was like a 4 or 5 hour commitment every weekend.
Right.
Just to get to know me, just to take me on a date during this period. And there was no sexual intimacy involved. We were literally becoming friends, getting to know each other, sharing laughter. I was showing him around Gastonia, going to different parks, different restaurants.
I liked hanging with her more than I like hanging with my homies at the time. Like, I'm just being real. Like, when you really found that person that you want to, be with, all you can think about is spending time with them. And that's all I could think about was, okay, I'm ready for the next weekend so I can get down there and we can hang out and do whatever else adventure that she was going to introduce me to.
And that was the very first time I had even been pursued like that. My hairdresser and close family friend at the time was the one that told me that he was courting me. I was like, oh, that's what that is. I had no idea. So that's why I say and encourage those who are in the dating world and desire marriage and serious relationship to get familiar with courting, because I learned in hindsight what that looked like and what that should be like. And I'm very thankful for that experience because I will require it of my children when they decide that they're going to get serious with people. It's courtship.
Right. And that's a lot of that goes more so towards the singles, but even married couples, like, go back to courting each other. Like, say, all right, we're not going to have no sex for like, a month and just court.
So you recommending that?
Come on, man.
So, hey, if you gonna recommend it, you gotta be about it too.
I'm with it.
All right.
I'm with it.
All right.
I'm with it. But I mean, going back to that, like courting your wife, like really dating your wife, I think when the kids and all that work life comes into play, you forget to court each other. You forget to pursue each other. Because that's really what courting is. It's pursuing with intention. So
dating, so when we decided to start dating, the one thing that I think we've gotten away from that I highly, highly think is necessary is to define and clarify. He specifically asked out his mouth, will you be my girlfriend? That's how we clarified our relationship.
Yeah.
It was no guessing. It was no, I think we girlfriend and boyfriend. We talking, no. He asked, will you be my girlfriend? Those were the words. It's okay to ask those words.
It sounds so elementary, but I mean,
it's necessary to clarify.
You have to dumb it down because that's the only way you're going to get that clear answer. So, but the dating, so there were things in our dating relationship that we had to learn from a lot, because when you're dating, it's two different worlds colliding, and you have to learn how how that other world moves.
True.
In your orbit. So you had to learn the pet peeves. You had to go through the monthly cycles, that women have. Sometimes that plays a factor. So I know for us, like, I remember our first big fight. It wasn't even big.
Big disagreement because we don't fight. We disagree.
Because I don't do the arguing. I don't do none of that. So the first disagreement we had was I forgot honestly what it was about, but I stormed out. I just walked out the room. I was like, "Look,
Out of the apartment, sir."
I'm like, I'm done with this. Bump it. Like I probably didn't say I'm done with this, but I was just like, yo, I'm out. So I left, and
that did not sit well with me.
I think it was when we sat back down and had a conversation, she told me like, hey, when you do that, when you storm out like the way you do, that I'm still sitting in that energy. Like it's like you walking out on me. You know what I'm saying? And
it felt like you were throwing in the towel and saying you were done completely.
You know what I'm saying? And that's not what I meant. It was just the conversation got too overwhelming. That it was just like, all right, let me just leave, cool off. But that's not how she saw it, and it's not an excuse on my behalf. Like when we sat down and had a conversation, I sat there, I listened, I said, I understand now what you mean. So now when we have disagreements,
no, at that point,
okay.
Yeah.
When we had disagreements, we started walking. Like when I stormed out, she was storming out with me.
Well, it took us a moment to get there because I think at first we would just sit in it.
Yeah,
because I was like, if I'm gonna sit in this energy, you go sit in this energy.
And you got plates clanking, so you just hearing, you know what I'm saying? So
the awkward energy
in the room
of being upset with each other without talking.
Right.
And then eventually we started going on walks.
And this is where like I feel like a lot of couples would help you guys. So what we started doing was we started going on walks. And literally like the first 20 minutes, I lied to you not, the first 20 minutes, we not saying a word to each other. But in my mind,
we're sorting out our thoughts.
I'm going through everything. I'm going through the transcript of everything was said. And I'm like, dang, I messed up. Like, cause usually I would be the one messing up. So I'd be like, dang, I messed up, man. Let me just own up to it. So then after that 20 minutes, I apologize for whatever I done did. Like I apologize for what I did. And then we'll talk it through. Like, I take the blow. Or there were situations where it was miscommunication, which I know that happens a lot in relationships as well, whether it's a couple or whether it's friendships. Like
gotta clean it up.
There was one instance where we were talking about something and I must have said something that didn't sit well with her. And for me, like I'm really big on observing people, reading people. And I felt the energy. It was just like, what's up? What's wrong, babe? And she told me like, you said this. I heard it this way. Is this what you meant? And it was like, no, I didn't mean it. Like if I knew that was going to come off that way, I wouldn't have said it that way. But no, I meant it this way. And sometimes a lot of conversations when you're having with people, it's situations like that where y'all just talking over each other or words are just missing you. We have to learn how to be intentional with what we say, but also
flirting and farting. Right on brand.
But what I learned in that instance was we have to learn how to communicate better. And when you have hiccups like that, miscommunications, don't get mad, storm out, or dismiss the whole issue. Ask them, okay, do you mean this? Because I'm hearing it this way.
Ask for clarification.
That's the big.
Because I look back and I admire young LaBianca and Shakim, because I remember those conversations, and I didn't remember how we even had got to that point where we would be like, this is what I heard you say. Is this how you mean it? Like I remember specifically saying stuff like that.
Honestly, it's from a podcast, I think.
We didn't listen. I didn't listen to podcasts then.
I was listening to interviews.
I did not listen to podcasts then when we were in college.
Yeah.
I just remember taking the walks and then later on having those discussions where it was like, this is what I heard you say. Is this how you meant it? And then you were like, no, this is what I meant to say. And it really helped us navigate in the conversation and like you said, miscommunication and conflict resolution. It really helped with that.
Because at the end of the day, it was something I learned literally just recent from I don't know if it was from a couple or individual, but they told me that, you know, you and your lady, whether you're married or y'all just dating, y'all are a team, and
I said that.
oh, and you're going against the problem. So you have to learn how to navigate and understand and realize, like, no, this is my teammate. I don't need to be.
It's us against the problem, not us against each other.
Exactly. And I think sometimes we allow the problem to get bigger than what it really was. So.
Or allow things to go, like, small things to fester so long that they become big. Another thing we navigated was going out together when we were in our clubbing days. This is where we had to learn to set boundaries with interacting with other sexes.
Yeah. So.
Because I remember.
I'm guilty on this one.
I don't know if you were guilty, but we were young and we were in the party atmosphere. And if you're at a cookout, it can happen. But there was another young lady that I guess was interested in you and decided to follow you around at night.
She's seen this. I didn't see none of this. I'm just in my own zone.
She followed him around. They had one dance, and I was like, okay, cool. That's cool. That's what we're here to do. Have a good time. But then she followed him around the bottom level and then back upstairs. He was not aware, I guess, that she was behind him. But he goes back by the DJ booth and she pulls him to sit him down and proceeds to give him a lap dance. This is when he learned that La Bianca does not tolerate that behavior. And we have to set boundaries with other women because I had never moved so fast in pumps in my life.
Yeah. It turned into a thing.
It was not I was very
classy.
I was very proud of myself and how I handled it. I was very classy. My grandmother would be very proud of me because I just went over and picked the young lady up and told her she might want to go somewhere else. And I had a seat next to you to establish why she needed to go somewhere else.
Yes.
It was handled well. At the time, I was very mad at how I handled it because I wish I would have handled it like my mother. But I'm very proud looking back because I was about to graduate.
Right.
And I needed to graduate.
Right. Unless you say I didn't come home that night.
You didn't? Yeah, not for a while.
I came back in the morning after everything.
But that taught us how to establish boundaries when we're out and about. And how we should conduct ourselves.
Yes.
Even if you are under some type of influence. We no longer club.
Right.
But some couples do.
Right.
And if that's your thing, making sure you have those established boundaries is important. Just to help you just not have to go through. I knew that was coming. Circumstances that is unnecessary. That was fun.
Yeah, it was a very interesting time.
Of course, social media is another one.
Yes.
That is huge in our dating world. A lot of people try to accredit that for the end of marriages. And I don't necessarily think it's social media. It goes back to setting boundaries.
Yeah. And being intentional. Like, are each component entity in the relationship being true and honest and intentional? Because if they really... I'm gonna be honest, like in the stage of life I'm in right now, I really don't got time to be thinking about, oh, well, I told babe this, so let me tell girl this, let me do that. Like, who has time for that? Like, that's
the capacity. I
don't have the capacity. Like, I got a family, like, and we still building. Like, it's too much going on. I got too much to lose.
But what works for us with social media and how
we have the same password to get at each other's phones.
You okay?
Like, that's literally like simple as that. Like, cause I remember there was an instance when I moved to Charlotte and, you know, I met a couple people out here and a few of them, they were women, and I had a Snapchat at the time. I didn't use it. But they followed me on Snapchat and they were always sending me stuff or whatever. And she caught wind of it. She seen it. Like I said, she had my password. I ain't tripping.
Yeah, we had to nip that in the book. You got rid of Snapchat.
Yeah, I got rid of Snapchat. Like, And
But
personally, I don't want to be on social media now.
But that's what works for us as far as, and I'm your social media manager anyway. I run his Instagram because he's not really on that. You have your Facebook, but you don't really be on that unless you're scrolling in it anyway.
Unless I'm reaching out to people, catching up, whatever. But like in your relationship, are you like, do you have that kind of trust where she can, when your wife can have, or your girlfriend can have your password,
Or your husband.
or your husband, or boyfriend? Like, can y'all have each other's passwords? Like, let's go ahead and eliminate that altogether. So now you pretty much have free reign.
What do you say to people who would say, well, you should be able to trust them without having the passwords? Because I've seen that. That discussion has been a debate on some of the groups I'm in where
you should be able to, I mean, you should. Y'all said, yes, I want to be your girlfriend.
Or that's intruding on my privacy.
I mean, I don't know, this is an opinion, but do you really have privacy when you're dating somebody? Because she's basically like, we're one human being, really.
But we're married.
Well, now. But how I seen us, like I said, my focus is building a legacy and building it with somebody. And I already chose the person I wanted to build with. So my whole thought process around that is like, I don't care if she violates my privacy, whatever privacy I do have. Like, she understands that there are times where I need to step away and have my private moments and stuff like that, but she's not invading my space. There's no indication in her mind that gives off that I'm untrustworthy. Like, so as men, as women, ask yourself, are you being trustworthy?
Ouch.
If you haven't been in the past, then of course you can understand why the spouse is wanting to know your looking at your Facebook, looking at your text messages and stuff. Like, have you been proven to be a trustworthy person?
And even on the moments where there's been moments where I felt insecure because of things like that.
Yep.
But making sure I address them was important in helping us navigate in the dating world as well. Because, I mean, no, my insecurities were not your fault or your responsibility, but being partners and understanding where my insecurities were, that allowed you the opportunity to make sure there was no room for me to question you, or there was no doubt in my head that you were pursuing me, I was pursuing you. And I think vice versa, that's important for navigating the dating world, navigating marriage. Because when you're married, you still need to be dating each other, but making sure there's no room for doubt, for questions, and if there is, addressing it when it comes up, so it doesn't become bigger.
Because that's just a can of worms on its own.
Is there anything else in our dating world that you feel like
that we navigated pretty well,
or not so well?
Or not so well?
Oh, I know one.
What's up?
Your mom.
So
we love you, Mom. But setting boundaries with parents is important.
Yeah.
There was a case where I was asked to borrow money while we were dating. And the one thing I appreciated was you setting that boundary then and there that was not appropriate.
Right.
And I think it helped set the tone for me to be able to respect you in navigating that.
Yeah.
Because our parents are going to be part of the journey. This is new for them as well.
Yeah.
And it's something that we had to learn about. It's a hard conversation to have because I know our parents might listen, but some of them, they came with some trials too.
Right.
Like my mom and I were super, super close. So when you came in the picture, I don't think she realized how serious we were. And when she seen how serious we were, I believe it was difficult for her to navigate. And it also led us to having them come to a common understanding and set boundaries too. So when your parents, like how you navigate your parents and your marriage and your dating and all that stuff matters as well. But we learned a lot. You taught me a lot, especially from Courtney. She's turned on music. But courting is important. Pursuing one another, whether dating and married, is important. Setting boundaries is important. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's episode 2. Hope you got something from it.
Yeah.